Hello there. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, there's a question that we want to look at, and the question is on costing systems, whereby we are going to calculate our variable costs, our fixed costs, and then the per unit cost. So, according to our first question, it says below is the information regarding PW and MVH manufacturers. So you're given total variable costs as 27,500 rands. Units manufactured, you're given as 50,000 rands. Then the question reads, calculate the following. So for the first part, 1.1, it reads the variable cost per unit. The variable cost per unit. So we need to put out the formula first, whereby we are going to say this is our 1.1, whereby we are calculating the variable costs per unit, which is equal to total variable costs, and then we divide by a number of units. We are going to divide by our number of units. So our total variable cost is given, we are given it as 27,500, and then we have got 50, units manufactured is 50,000. So we can just remove the sign of currents that we have there. It's supposed to be 50,000 units manufactured is 50,000 units. So we divide by 50,000. So that's what we have. We divide by 50,000. So basically we are saying 27,500 rands. Then we divide by 50,000 units. So we divide that, we see that the answer that we are going to get is going to be 55 cents per unit. So this becomes our final answer on the first part. So moving on to the second part now, it becomes the calculation of the total variable cost if 100,000 units were produced. Remember, variable costs varies directly with the level of production. In other words, we are saying if the level of production increases, we are going to see the variable cost also increasing. But if the level of production decreases, you're going to see that the variable cost also decrease. But so in this case, we have got 50,000 units equals to 27,500. What about 100 units? So just make a simple proportion whereby we are saying 50,000 is equals to 27,500 rands. So we are saying this is going to be our 1.2, whereby we are saying that's it. So you can alternatively make a proportion whereby you say 50, 100,000 as a numerator, you divide by 50,000, and then you multiply by 27,500. Or you can just say the variable cost per unit, then you multiply by 100,000. So that's again how we can calculate it. So in this case, we have already calculated the variable cost per unit. It is 55 cents. So you're going to say 55 cents, and then you multiply by 100,000. If you multiply there, you see that the answer that you are going to get is going to be 55,000 rands. Having done that, now we can also try to move on to the next part of our question, which is going to be a 1.3 increase and the total variable cost if only 1,000 units were manufactured. So again, we have the variable cost per unit, so we can then multiply by 1,000 again on 1.3. So 1.3, we are seeing 55 cents times 1,000 units, and then we are going to get your answer is 550. So this is what we have on 1.3. So moving on to question 2, to produce product TN1PW, MVH manufacturers are rent according to the following grades, and the total rent per month is first point 5,000 rands for up to 1,000 units. So what it means is any units, any production that is 1,000 units or below will be having a total rent of 5,000 rands. And we have to take note that rent is also a fixed cost, which doesn't vary with the level of production. But in this case, we are given bands in terms of if production is 1,000 or less, you have a fixed cost of 5,000 rands. The second point is saying if more than 1,000 units are produced, more space is needed and the rent increases to 6,000 rands per month. So if now production becomes more than 1,000, that's when we are going to have a fixed cost being 6,000. In other words, we are saying if we have 2,000 units being produced, 3,000 units being produced, which is more than 1,000, the fixed cost remains the same as 6,000. The same applies when it's now it's 1,000 or below. We are saying if it's 100 units of production, if it's maybe we can say 500, 600, 700, the same fixed cost will be experienced, which is 5,000. So that's what we have. So on the question part, it is calculate the unit cost for rent when the following units are produced. So 800 units on the first part is in the first bed of the first point, which is up to 1,000 units. So we're going to say 5,000 uh, divided by 800. Remember, to calculate fixed cost per unit, which is rent per unit, we are going to say the total for rent divided by the number of the total value, the total for rent, which is 5,000 rands, divided by the number of units, which is now 800. So we can just try to put the formula down first. So this is our 2.1. So we can as well try to put down the formula first. So we're saying 2.1, whereby to get the rent per unit is equal to total rent then we divide by number of units. So in this case, we are saying our total rent is 5,000 and the number of units is 800. So we have 5,000 and then we divide by 800 units, and then you're going to get your answer is 625 cents. So we're going to have 625 cents. This is per unit. So this is what we have on that part. And then move on to the second part of our question, which is saying if 1,200 units are produced, so 1,200 is above 1,000, is in the band of if more than 1,000 units are produced. So we are having a fixed cost of 6,000 in this case. So we're going to say 6,000 divided by 1,200. So 2.2. It becomes 6,000. And then we divide by 6,000 divided by 1,200. So you calculate, see that the answer that we are going to get is 5 rand per unit. Then having done that, we go to our next question, which is now 200 units. So on 200 units, we are having 200 units in the first band whereby it's in the range of up to 1,000 units. So our fixed cost will be 5,000. So you say 5,000 divided by 200, that is our 2.3. Calculate that, we get our 25 rand per unit. So this is the calculation that we have for 2.3. So we move on to question 3 now is now saying fixed cost of 150,000 was paid to manufacture 20,000 units. Choose the correct answer if 30,000 units were 30,000 units were produced. So calculation. So remember, uh, this is a fixed cost, and fixed cost we are saying it doesn't change with the level of output. Here we are using 10,000 units with a fixed cost of 150,000 rand. And then 10,000 units obviously is going to have the same amount of fixed cost, since fixed costs do not change with the level of output. It remains the same. So our if you look at the responses that we are given, we are not having 150,000 rands there. But if on D is saying none of the above, so what does it mean? It means D is the correct response. So we move on to the next part of our question, which is saying the following information was taken from the records of Guabini Plants CC. We are given a total cost 25,000 rands, total fixed cost 4,000 rands, units produced 500. So we've got questions that we need to respond to. We're going to see that these are going to be our questions. So on the first part, we are going to calculate the total variable cost. So total variable costs, we are given that units produced, we have got 600 units as our units are produced. We've got 600 units as units are produced. So to get our total costs, we are supposed to say fixed cost plus our variable cost. So in this case, our total cost we're given is 25,000 equal to our fixed cost we are given 12,000. Then our variable cost we are not given. So obviously this is what we want to calculate. And then if you want to find your variable cost, you make your variable cost the subject of the formula. When you make it the subject of the formula, that case it's going to be variable cost is equal to is going to be variable cost is equal to is equal to 25,000, 25,000. Then you subtract your fixed cost, which is 12,000. Then you see what we get there. So if you calculate there, you're going to see that 25,000 minus 12,000. Obviously, you're going to get your 13,000. So we have 13,000 representing our variable cost. So after calculating our variable cost, we now say on 4.1, remember our 4.1 needs us to calculate total variable cost. So total variable cost is 13,000 rands. So basically, we can just make our calculation is variable cost is equal to our 25,000 minus 12,000. It's going to give us 18,000 rands. So that's what we have on the first part there. Then the second part, it means the variable cost per unit. So we know that we have got 600 units, so you're going to say 30,000 divided by 30,000 divided by 600. So here we come, we say 4.2. We are saying 30,000 divided by 600. So we can as well try to calculate that, see what do we get. So you're going to get 21.6666. So obviously, we are saying 21.6666. So we would round off to two decimal places whereby we've got a 6 that is going to change our 6 to 7. So it becomes two decimal places, it becomes 21 rands 67 cents. So this becomes our variable cost per unit. So we are saying variable costs are per unit. Then we move on to our next calculation, which is going to be fixed cost per unit. Fixed costs are given as 12,000, so we divide by number of units 600. So we say 12,000, 4.3, going to be 12,000, and then we divide by 600. So we can as well calculate that one and see what do we get. Get your 20 rand per unit. Which is a fixed cost per unit. So basically, that's what we have on that part. Is fixed cost per unit equal to 20 rand per unit. So that's what we have on that part. So moving on to the next question, which is going to be 4.4. Total cost when 750 units were produced. So when 700 units were produced, remember fixed costs do not change. We are still going to have a fixed cost of 12,000. The only one that is going to change is the variable cost. So we are saying this is now our 4.4. Remember, total costs and question means as total cost. Total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. Of which fixed costs we are saying it remains the same, so we're going to still take out 4,000, even though we have got a change of level of output. So it's going to say our fixed cost is 12,000. Then we multiply by the variable cost per unit times number of units. Remember the variable cost per unit, we calculated it on 4.2, and then we got our 21 rand 67 cents. So we are saying in brackets 21 rand 67 cents times number of units. In this scenario, we are given that is 750. So we multiply by 750. So we calculate just like that, see what we get there. So if you say 21 rand 67 cents, multiply by 750. You multiply by 750, you're going to get it as, so here is 6 plus 16,252 rands 50 cents. And then here it remains as 12,000. And we now add there, if you add, you're going to get your answer is 28,252 rands 50 cents. So this is our total cost. So this becomes the last part of our calculation. And thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. And please, let's stay tuned for more videos to come. Let's meet again in the next week.